Good day and welcome to Predators Proclivity, where we look at the data from the season for the NHL Nashville Predators and make comments upon it. I'm your host, Preston Proctor. Hey, welcome to November. November 1st. I hope if you were trick-or-treating, that it went well last night, and everything is fine. Last night was not a good night for the Preds. I guess we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Was not on TV. Listened to a little bit on the radio, but not a very good night for the Preds, even without Connor McDavid in the lineup. So, but that'll come later. What we're going to start with is tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, the Preds are home to take on the Colorado Avalanche. The Avalanche are 5-6-0, 3-1-0 on the road. The Avalanche are fifth in the Central Division with 10 points, tied with the St. Louis Blues, and win that tie by having more regulation wins, RW. The Avalanche started off their season by losing their first 4 games away at Vegas, then 3 straight at home. Then won 5 straight games, 1 at home, 3 away, and then at home. And then have lost the next 2, Monday to Chicago and Wednesday against the Lightning. So far they seem pretty streaky. Last night was Halloween, so I put not spooky. I don't mean that they're kind of spooky that they could beat the Preds, so that's spooky. But they seem so far to be pretty streaky, winning 4 or losing 4, winning 5, and now having lost 2 in a row. They are 1-4 against the Eastern Conference and 4-2 against the West. 1-1 against the Central Division, the one that both Colorado and Nashville are in, the Central Division. The goalies have roughly split duties, with Georgiev getting 4 of the first 5, and Noonan getting 4 of 5. And I guess since they both had 5 games, they called up Capo Kakutin, jeez, to get to start. They called him up, and he played Wednesday. Capo got the start. He was called up from the Colorado Eagles of the AHL, easy for me to say, 5 days after he was sent back down. So he was on the team, got sent down, and got brought back up. Didn't look like there was an injury. Not sure why they decided to get Kotkaniemi in goal. So Georgiev is 1-4, and Noonan is 4-1. He's my guess for tomorrow night. Kotkaniemi is 0-1. I would expect a Noonan, but I don't know. A few roster changes from last year. Forwards notable not with the team. Ex-Pred Ryan Johansson was traded along with a first-round 2025 to Philadelphia for defenseman Sean Walker and a fifth-round 2026. The first-round 2025 draft pick is conditional. If Colorado's pick is in the top 10, they get to keep it. And then Philadelphia will get the first-rounder in 2026. We find these conditional picks to be kind of interesting to what the heck is going on, you know. Another note, Zach Parise was an unrestricted free agent. He apparently has retired. So we will no longer see Zach Parise skating around against us, or for us, for that matter. I'm sure he'll still skate. And Riley Tuft an unrestricted free agent from Boston. Unrestricted free agent signed by Boston. Riley Tuft, also not with the team. So four notable forwards, Johansson, Parisi, and Tuft. A new forwards, Ivan. I had to look that up. I thought, well, that's weird. Called up from the Colorado Eagles. Parker Kelly is an unrestricted free agent from Ottawa. Nikolai Kovalenko, also called up from the Colorado Eagles. And Casey Middlestad was in a trade with Buffalo. They sent defenseman Bowen Byram to Buffalo for Casey Middlestad. Defenseman notables not with the team, Jack Johnson. We saw him the other night. He unrestricted free agent signed by the Blue Jackets. And Caleb Jones, an unrestricted free agent signed by the Kings. We will see him Monday night. Defenseman notables that are new is Calvin DeHaan, unrestricted free agent from Tampa Bay. The goalie change, Ivan Prosvetov. He played 11 games last year. He's no longer with the team. He's with CSKA Moskva. I assume that's the Moscow Russian national team or whatever. I don't know. Not something I planned to look up, just something of note. Okay. Players that we'll see on the ice, things to people to look for. Or not see. We will not be seeing Matt Steinberg. He got a 2-game suspension from charging in the last game. He apparently was not a happy camper in the second period. He racked up 17 minutes of penalties and a game misconduct. So he's so tomorrow night will be the first game of his 2-game suspension. Jonathan Drouin is on injured reserve, and Gabriel Landeskog is on a long-term injury. I don't think he's played in a couple of years. He's having trouble coming back. Landeskog. Center Ross Colton will need to watch out for. He has 8 goals. He leads the team in goals. He's also second in the most shots on goal. Defenseman Cale Makar has 15 assists and 19 points and leads the team in both, and also leads the team in time on ice. So we will see Cale Makar out there quite a bit. And like I said, he leads the team in assists and points. Center Nathan McKinnon and defenseman Josh Manson used to lead the team in penalty minutes at 12. But no longer, because Steinberg picked up 17 penalty minutes in the second period. He got a 2-minute rough at 3:33, and then at 17:18, a charging and game misconduct. I woke up on the wrong side of the bed or something last night, or Wednesday night, not sure. But there you go. McKinnon is also second in assists, second in points, second in time on ice, and he's now first shots on goal. Ross Colton and McKinnon swap places there. Colton was first in shots on goal, and now he's second, and now McKinnon is first. Left wing Joel Kiviranta has the highest shooting percentage at 33%. He's got 4 goals on 12 shots. It was 44%, but he took 3 shots without scoring a goal the other night. I guess he's due. I guess he's due because, he took 3 shots and didn't get a goal, and he had 4 goals on 9 shots. 4 goals on 9 shots. Now it's 4 on 12. Tomorrow night, getting away from that, speaking of 12, tomorrow night is the Avalanche's 12th game of the year. Last year at this point, they were 8-4-0. They won their first 6 games last year, and this year they're 5-6-0 coming into the 12th game. Tomorrow night is also their 5th game on the road, and last year they were 4-1 on the road. Their 5th game was a 4-0 loss in Pittsburgh. This year they're 3-1 on the road, very similar. They will not be playing Pittsburgh, so they can't duplicate that, so they may as well lose, right? Tomorrow night's game is the only game for them on this road trip. After tomorrow night's game, they play Seattle at home, then the Jets in Winnipeg, and then they get to come back home for 4. They'll play Carolina, Nashville, so we'll see Colorado again soon. Carolina, Nashville, LA, and Washington. The Nashville Predators, after last night's game, are now 3-6-1, 2-5-0 at home. The Preds are in 7th in the Central Division with 7 points, tied with Chicago, but win the tie with less losses. Tomorrow night's game is the second of a 3-game homestand. Edmonton was Thursday and LA on Monday. Tomorrow night is the Preds' 11th game of the year. Last year, the Preds were 5-6 in their first 11 games. They're currently 3-6-1, so close. Tomorrow night is the Preds' 8th game at home. Last season, they were 4-4 in 8 home games. The 8th game was a 4-2 win against the Blackhawks. This season, they are 2-5 at home. Thought to add the players of note since I was doing it for the other teams. And I thought that was kind of interesting. Left wing Forsberg leads the team in points with 9, goals 5, and shots 46. So leaves the team in points with 9 and 5 goals. I was looking up at the stats for Colorado, and their assist leader is at 19. The leader for the Preds in assists is 5, so that's dramatically different. It's a tie between center Ryan O'Reilly and defenseman Roman Josi. They both lead the team in assists. Josi also leads the team in time on ice with 26 minutes. Center Gustav Nyquist leads in shooting percentage with 3 goals on 12 shots, so I'd say he's due. And left wing Cole Smith leads in penalty minutes with 13. One thing I did find interesting when I was doing my special teams spreadsheet this morning, which I'm quickly getting tired of. I really need to find a better way to do this. But the Preds have gotten a power play goal in 6 of 10 games so far. The opponents have 2. So that's really kind of interesting. The Preds have had 38 power play opportunities to the opposition's 33. Power play opportunities differ from penalties because when say there's a power play and then a minute into it there's another penalty, then that first power play opportunity is now over. That power play opportunity lasted a minute. Sometimes they only last about 3 seconds, so it seems a little unfair to consider that to be a power play opportunity, but that's kind of how it's done. So when you get a penalty and then another penalty in the middle of that penalty, the first penalty power play opportunity expires, and then depending on what happened, if it's even strength, then it's not a power play opportunity. If it turns into a 5-on-3, then it's a 5-on-3 power play opportunity. When the first penalty expires, then that penalty is over. So in the course of those 2 penalties, you would have 3 power play opportunities potentially. You could, if it were against the same team, you'd have 2 5-on-4s and a 5-on-3. That's just kind of how it's done. So kind of weird. But I guess you could have scored, so it was an opportunity. So the Preds have gotten power play goals in 6 of their 10 games so far. That's pretty good, actually. So the Preds stats at home, and limiting the other team to only 2. Now that is a really good stat. That, I'm trying to track these follow-up goals. The idea behind that is, say you're on a power play and you score a goal like, 30 seconds after. I go to a minute because it's easier math for me. But if a goal is scored a minute after a power play, then I considered it a goal after. If it's scored by the team that had the power play, against Edmonton scored a goal within a minute of Nashville having a power play, which I also think is kind of interesting to track, but I'm not sure what to do with that yet. I think that's the first time I've noticed that this season. So I still have time to go back and figure that out. But yeah, if you get a goal after, then I think that's pretty relevant because because the team potentially generated that goal because of the play on the power play. And it didn't turn into a power play goal, but it was a quick follow-up. And therefore, I think it's interesting to take note and to see how that plays out. Now, that being said, the Preds have gotten some shortly thereafter goals, and I don't recall where those land right now. I should look that up before I start talking about this stuff. But yeah, so. 6 out of 10 games, they have gotten a power play goal versus 2 for the opponents. So that's pretty good. The Preds have also had 5 more opportunities. That's not penalties, opportunities. All right, so what are the Preds like at home? The Preds stats at home. Preds are 2-5 at home, losing their last home game last night versus Edmonton 1-5. Okay, so this is where we start talking about this game. In that game, ex-Pred Victor Arvidsson got the first goal, and I think if I remember right, it's his first goal of the season. He had a few assists, but no goals. So Victor Arvidsson got the first goal of the game 37 seconds into the game. 37 seconds in. Okay, started things off right. Draisaitl had an assist. No surprise. Forsberg tied the game on an unassisted power play goal, but just before the halfway mark, Corey Perry of Anaheim note. Corey Perry scored, putting Edmonton up 2-1. And that's how the first period finished. The second period, Draisaitl got the only goal, unassisted in the second. Draisaitl got his second goal of the game early in the third. Ex-Pred Matthias Ekholm got an assist on that one. And then the scoring was completed by Zach Hyman with assists to Nurse and Skinner. Skinner, the shooting leader, most shots for Edmonton. And so he wound up with an assist there. And Nurse is, you guys know how I feel about him. I think he also had a penalty. No shocker. And so that was the scoring. So the Preds did not get the first goal of the game, and they lost all 3 periods. If you don't win a period, I don't think I need to go into that. Because if the Preds lose 2 periods on the road, they always lose. At home, they wound up winning one because they got 2 goals in the first. The opponents got 1 goal each in the second, third. I think it was Pittsburgh, and then it went to overtime, and the Preds won overtime. So they won 2 periods, and they lost 2 periods in that particular one. If you lose all 3 periods, whatever. Enough said. At least for today. So far, the 3-6-1 Preds are 3-6-1 in getting the first goal overall. I found that really interesting. 1-2 when they get it. All of those were at home. They have not gotten the first goal on the road yet. And 2-4-1 When they do not, 1-3 at home, 1-1-1 on the road. So not getting it on the road, 1-1-1. Not really a determinant. 1-3 at home. That's kind of what it was last season. The Preds were at home. It was a 3-1 advantage if they got it. So far this season, it's a 1-3 advantage if they don't, or disadvantage or advantage for the opponents. Last year at this point, they were 5-6 in getting the first goal. Overall, 3-2 when getting it, 2-0 at home, 1-2 away. So last year, 3-2 at this point at home. When getting it, 2-0 at home. Now they're 1-2 and 1-2 away, and 2-4 when they did not get it, 1-2 at home and 1-2 away. So at this point, it was very, very similar at home and away when they don't get it. And at home, when they got it, they won the game. So, a whole data set of 2. Statistically significant, not so much, but it's a number. And how am I supposed to put you guys to sleep if I don't just rattle off a whole bunch of numbers? Anyhow, so far into this season, there still have been no ties in the second period. No ties in the second period. The winning goal overall at home is the same in the first, second, and third at 29%. So regardless of who wins, 29% of the time it's scored in the first, second, and third, 14% in overtime. When the Preds lose, it's 40% in the second and third and 20% in the first. Last year, I believe it was when they lost, it was primarily the third period that the winning goal was scored. And when they won, it was primarily in the second goal that the winning goal was scored. I haven't used that terminology, I don't think, this year. The idea being what the winning goal is, if like last night, the game was 5-1. So the second goal was the winning goal last night. The second goal was scored in the first period. So the winning goal is the goal which exceeds the number of goals scored by the losing team. So the Preds scored 1. Edmonton scored 2 in the first, and so the second goal is the winning goal. So that's what that means. Last year, like I said, at home, it was, I think it was about 39%. The Preds, when the Preds won, they'd score it in the second period, and then it was like 40-some% that when the opponents won, it would be in the third period. Again, don't really have enough stats right now for that to be terribly significant, but starting to see the trend is kind of what looking at the numbers at this point in time is doing for you. The fact that the Preds are 3-6-1 is you'd like to have more wins in general. In general, I like to have more wins. I think everybody would like to have more wins. I don't think that's necessarily just the Preds, but I would make 3 wins. It's kind of hard to get a lot of when the Preds win statistics out of. Okay, moving on. As for last year, in November, since we are now in November, they were 7-6 last year in November, 5-3 at home and 2-3 on the road. Okay. Tomorrow night's matchup. So we've talked about the Preds. We've talked about the Avs. Tomorrow night in Nashville is the first game against Colorado. We'll play the first road game against Colorado in 9 days. 9 days. So we'll see them again in 9 days in Colorado. And then about a month later, we'll play the second game against them in Colorado. And then we won't see them again until they come here in February. So we've got 3 games against Colorado, 1 here and 2 in Colorado coming up. in roughly a month and a half. Last year, we played the Avalanche 3 times, twice in Nashville in November and early March, and then in late March in Colorado. The home team did win all 3 games. So Nashville was 2-1 against the Avs last year, with the home team winning all. That would be nice if we could replicate that at least tomorrow night. In November, the score was 4-3. In early March, it was 5-1. And in late March, it was 4-7. The Preds were 2-1 in getting the first goal against Colorado. They got the first goal in the second and third games, not the first game, which they won. In all 3 games, the losing team was scoreless in the third period. About that arcane stat, that was really kind of weird. The Preds scored 1 goal in the second period of all 3 games, going 1-2 in that period. The second game was a win. In all 9 periods, there were 2 ties, both first periods at home. 1 goal each game for each team. In the ties. And the tied periods, they were not scoreless. Both teams scored a goal. And then the Preds won 4 of the other periods and lost 3. So there was the Preds did pretty well against Colorado last year. There's no reason for them not to do well again against Colorado. But you could have said that against Edmonton. For some reason, Edmonton is just got I don't know. They just have the number on some teams. But I guess that's just kind of how it goes. Some teams are just better against other teams, and it just seems to be historically that way. It's kind of strange. But so that's what happened last year with Colorado. Currently, the Preds are on a 2-game losing streak, and so is Colorado. So one of these streaks are going to end. I hope it is Nashville. And given how streaky Colorado is, I think they should lose. They're on a 2-game losing streak, and I think they've got a couple more in them, at least one. So that is the matchup. That is tomorrow night's matchup. The Colorado Avalanche coming to Nashville for tomorrow night, November 2nd. November 2nd. And hopefully the Preds will get a better result. They are playing better. Don't know what happened in last night's game, but we'll right the ship, and we've lost 2 games, and we can then end the streak there. So that's the story. And I am Preston Proctor. You have been listening to Predators Proclivity.